futures that we were promised, or what I feel like I was promised as a kid. So I kind of build that in my digital world, or my, you know, semi-physical digital worlds here. So going back to my childhood or my roots, my father is, both my parents are artists, but not kind of like in a, you know, rich snobby kid. My parents are artists, and I got like paid through college sort of way. They're very much like blue collar, you know, hardworking people that would make art or pursue their passions like in their spare time after their day jobs, and on the weekends. And I really can't think of like a better household to grow up in. That really inspired me to, you know, kind of become the person I am now. My dad he's an Ashanti man from West Africa, Ghana. He kind of does really interesting stuff. Like he's a sculptor. He works with found metal or found parts of like cars, like that Jesus sort of sculpture there that pops up. That's made out of, like, his chest is made out of a car engine that he dismantled. I don't know. I don't think it was anybody's car. He didn't steal anybody's car. He just like goes to the scrapyard or like finds stuff on the side of the road. Yeah, and then he makes them into really fantastic, like, industrial cyberpunk sort of artwork. And I don't even think the guy knows, like, it's so funny. He was actually in The Matrix, and The Matrix is my favorite movie. He would just like say yes to everything, and he was an extra. And he's like, "Yeah, I was in that movie with the special people, and they were clean and they were raining. And that was the movie. I was in it." He has no idea like that would go really well. I feel like in the Zion caves. Anyway, but he also like was a storyteller. So we used to go to a lot of like festivals when I was younger, like camping. I'm trying to think of a good example of my friend. Like Burning Man sort of thing, but not as big as Burning Man, a smaller sort of music festivals around Australia. And he would go and like tell stories about our culture, or like different tales that we would have. Like there's a story about a spider called Ashanti, which we'll talk about a bit later. But yeah, I learned a lot about my culture through him. You know, telling these stories when I was younger. And my mum, she is a really fantastic graphic designer. She's a fabric designer. She's a painter. She's a sculptor. She does sort of like a bit of everything. It's super cool. And she puts like, she's also a permaculture teacher and designer. She takes those like lessons she's learned, or those like, I don't even know what the word is, like ecological designs, and puts them into her graphic design works, or her, you know, mandalas, or whatever she's working on. Like, makes really interesting sort of geometric patterns out of designs that are, you know, permaculturally, I don't know the next word, but permaculture designs into something that's artistic. So yeah, that's where I kind of grew up. I've kind of lived a lot of different lives. As I said, I was a musician. I kind of think of myself as a multidisciplinary artist. And now, yeah, I think I kind of focus more on digital stuff. But I started out sort of, yeah, and these worlds that I talked about, like, that were kind of promised to us when I was younger, really kind of frustrated me. Like, you know, growing up, you know, these cyber, I was really like interested in sci-fi. As I said, Matrix is my favorite movie. I have, I think I'm up to 64 copies of the DVD of the Matrix. Doesn't matter if it's Matrix 1, Matrix Resurrections, Matrix Revolutions. I've got like 64 copies of the goddamn DVD. It's that, like, that movie is so important to me. It's so funny. But yeah, William Gibson, I used to just like absorb anything sort of sci-fi, cyberpunk. But yeah, I grew up in these digital worlds, and there was really no way for me to sort of express myself in these worlds that felt true to who I am. I'm sure, like, looking through this audience, I don't know, like, did anybody ever use like, I'm trying to think of like a world building sort of game, like Habbo Hotel or something, or like anything where you've had to make like a character, like Sims even. anything like that. Like I'm seeing a lot of like nodding heads. Like there was definitely a time, and still is for some of these platforms, like online platforms, where you can only be a white woman or a white man, and that's it. Like you had to either pay to like upgrade to like have any other skin color, which is super sad, or you had to like basically hack the program or the game in order to accurately represent yourself if you weren't, you know, a white man or a white woman. And that also goes for like intergender people or whatnot. Like it just kind of, or even people that express themselves religiously, like if you wear hijab and stuff like that, there's no option for that without paying some exorbitant amount for something that's not a real physical object. It's like, why do we have to pay to express ourselves accurately? So yeah, that's kind of what got me into digital world building and digital art. Like I was like, you know what, screw this stuff. Like I'm not gonna pay goddamn mathletics. Did you ever play mathletics? Do you have that here? Mathletics? Like the maths game? And then like I remember my brother was like, because I didn't do maths, I was like, no, I'm gonna paint and play on my guitar and pretend like I'm gonna, like, that's a good career option. But I was like, no, I'm not doing any maths, don't worry about me. He's like, I gotta pay, or I gotta like get like above 98 to get my skin color. And I was like, dude, that is ridiculous. That's just so dumb. Sorry, that was a bit of a sidetrack. But yeah, I downloaded like a bunch of programs like Blender like 15 years ago. Totally different like layout to how it was now, and like DAZ 3D, just a bunch of anything that was free, and I just started making like myself in 3D, and that was really liberating to be able to actually make a digital version of myself that actually felt like me and wasn't just a white person with Serwah tacked on the bottom and me pretending like that was who I was. But yeah, then I moved on to making music. I founded a band called Dispossessed. I founded a band called Dispossessed. We played death metal, black metal. We called it genre bending actually. Or sometimes we just say our genre was angry. Which kind of summed it up very well. But we were a band that really put focus on Indigenous rights, especially the rights of Indigenous Australians. It's super important. Yeah, it was less of a band and more of a protest, a vehicle for protest, I would say. Like we would always, every single show was, we would have a yarn, or we would talk about any issue that was sort of current at that time. Like when Dylan in the Northern Territory was found with that spit put on, you know, Black Deaths in custody, things like that, we'd always manage to fundraise and actually divert funds from the band or the shows to those causes where people actually needed it. So that kind of really taught me about activism and sort of taking this initial seed that I kind of saw in these early digital worlds, not being able to see other black people or other people of colour in these worlds, then starting to see actually how people are being treated on the streets and in my society when I'm getting to that sort of age of, I was in this band when I was 16, I think, and actually seeing that, actually talking to First Nations people, actually staying at the 10 Embassy and living with them and trying to understand, you know, the place where I was living and how, you know, how much they've been through due to the colony. But moving on, so now I kind of take all of that and I make art, I guess, in a bit more of a, not refined way, but I'm starting to sort of abstract all those things that I learned when I was younger, you know, my parents, my background. So my mum's Italian and Dutch, so really taking some of that golden age, like Calvinistic sort of memento mori sort of view of the world from the Dutch side, and I really love Rococo and sort of Renaissance art. And I remember going to the Vatican City when I was like 10 years old and just thinking, dude, this is the most death metal place I've ever been. There's a Pope and he looks like he's alive. Why? He looks like he's sleeping. He's in a glass coffin. That is so death metal. What do you talk? Like, what do you mean? And I always laugh. I'm like to my mom. She hates it when I wear like a Cannibal Corpse T-shirt. And there's like a zombie with his like mouth full of blood and stuff. I'm like, dude, you brought us to the Vatican City to go and see like a dead guy. Like, dude, that was like way more death metal than anything I'm wearing. So just chill out. I'm gonna wear it. So yeah, I kind of have gone from that escapism to sort of activism, I would say, growing up. What have we got here? So the Afrofuturist lens. I definitely would categorize my artwork as Afrofuturism. That's probably the most important word to me in any language or dictionary. For me, Afrofuturism is taking Afro-Caribbean black cultures, traditions, tales, music, art, designs, fabric, whatever, fashion, dance, anything like that, and giving it a positive, future-focused light. So it's not about putting a different spin on things sometimes, it's just about giving us something to look forward to. I think futurism can definitely get a bad rap. I kind of was confronted with I was confronted with a question on a project a few years ago that I felt like was really pivotal to my work and, creating more important, I guess, forms of world building. They said, would you actually want to live in the worlds that you're creating in your art? And I thought, no, actually, some of these I wouldn't want to live in at all. Like, I'm just showing, pretty much how we're probably going to be living if things don't change, but, I wouldn't want to actually live there. And that kind of gave me a sort of, what's the word, it gave me sort of kick up the butt to sort of put out something that's a bit more positive, or something that, I would want my kids to live in. I kind of try and create like future, the history of tomorrow, I would say. That they weren't making money off to places like Singapore, Ghana, and stuff like that, so I did leave. But really opened my eyes just being there how much kind of electronic waste is going into the bin. It really doesn't cross your mind until you've seen it in real life. But moving on to the actual image inside the frame, that is kind of my interpretation of today. Like this is like Afrofuturism, I'm kind of trying to say. Obviously right now there is no war in Ghana at this present stage, but in my sort of Afrofuturist version of the present, or what I like to call like 20 minutes into the future, it's not really quite a future, it's not really quite there. I saw that from Max Pepper, but that's a great show. But I love saying 20 minutes into the future. It's not really quite there yet, but it could be, but it's not. But it kind of feels like it might be in this alternate reality. There's like a war over the e-waste, and like the people of Ghana are actually so fed up now that they have like managed to kill off the people that are bringing that sort of stuff here in the cargo boats. Like, it's kind of blurry to see it there, but there's a little cargo boat in the background and it's sailing away. You've got like a sort of colonial style pirate ship that's tipped over, rather than how people have come here at this point, or like in the past, and they actually managed to enslave people. But yeah, it's kind of like a present war that doesn't exist, and that it's actually a victorious war, I would say. So that's kind of like my interpretation of Afrofuturism and sort of the war on e-waste. This is part of my work for the ACME project. This is the darkness between the stars. A little bit earlier, I mentioned Anansi. So Anansi is he's sort of like a spider. He's a little spider dude. He's kind of a trickster sort of character in Ghana. And I grew up listening to stories about Anansi. That sort of image on the left is supposed to be my interpretation of Anansi. So he's a spider, he's a trickster. He kind of teaches kids like lessons on, I guess, how to be a good human through being a naughty spider, and then learning his lesson through interacting with other animals, like, okay, maybe you shouldn't be doing this. My interpretation of Anansi is sort of like a Sakawa scammer, sort of trickster. So Sakawa is a thing in Ghana that they call internet magic. Like, that's what it literally translates to, is internet magic. So have you ever gotten like an email like in your inbox that's like, please, my name is Chief Jeremy Bear from the US military, and I'm here to bring you $5 million if you send me $2 over Bitcoin, like something like that. You know, when you go into your spam message, do you ever read them and just like, oh, like, who's believing this shit? Like, Prince from Dubai is ready to give me $20 million type of thing. That's Sakawa. So in Ghana or Nigeria or whatever, like a 499 scam, I think. That's kind of what they're doing. They're doing sort of like magic. They've got, I'm serious, like dead serious, like a lot of the scammers will be in sort of like garb like this, thinking that they're doing tricks and magic. They'll have like skulls, they'll have chicken blood, they'll have piles of like fake money, they'll have pictures of people that they're trying to scam on Facebook, and they'll be doing witchcraft. And I find that really interesting. That's their sort of internet magic. So I kind of like translated that, like internet, web, Anansi, spider, trickster, and made Anansi. But each image of my series of the ACME sort of images is supposed to be a different character, like a portrait or an abstraction of that character. Some of them have dual meanings, like Joan of Arc and Ya Santiwa is the one with these two people in front of it. Ya Santiwa was a really kick-ass warrior in Ghana. I believe, like, she passed away just under 200 years ago or 100 years ago, so quite recently. She led the battle for the Golden Stool. The Golden Stool was basically it's like this really interesting, it's not really a stool per se, but it's like a decorative object made of gold, obviously, that we believe captured the souls of all our ancestors. So gold to us is not just a, high value mineral or metal. It actually means something spiritually. That's why I painted that e-waste gold and used a lot of gold tones in the piece. So yeah, she led that war against the British, which was friggin' sick. Like, Ghana's a matrilineal society, so women are actually like chiefs, like warriors, queens, which is goddamn right.
Hey.
Yeah, and I sort of contrasted that with the Joan of Arc. So, quite popular story. Young girl who had to, unfortunately, like, I don't know how to even look at it. She had to sort of alter her appearance in order to fight in the war, which I guess kind of shows like a difference in cultures. I don't know. I found like quite a lot of similarities between all the sort of characters that I was working with inside this piece. It's kind of like me playing around on After Effects. I did a lot of like glitching sort of effects Ghanaian fabric, or sort of like the attire that we wear is very much like, it really does look like a glitch. It's like the OG glitch. It's so sick. This is all the artworks from Acme. In the darkness between the stars together. It's kind of like low res, but you can check that out later if you do feel like it. So we do have Anansi, as I said, Joan of Arc, Yara Santiwa. We have King, which was, I can never say his name, so I'm not even going to say it. But he was a king that literally is exactly the same as like King Arthur, the story of King Arthur. That's who I've contrasted it as. He put a sword inside the ground or inside a rock in Kumasi in Ghana, which is like another sort of capital city, and nobody's been able to get it out in 600 years. Like it's stuck there. It's insane. It's like, it's unbelievable. And obviously King Arthur with Excalibur, nobody could get the sword out of the rock or whatever. I don't know, did the rock have a name? I never really got that far into the story. Should we give the rock a name? I don't know. The rock of the Excalibur. We'll just call him the Rock, like that guy. And then we have Ophelia, so the classic story, dead in the water, and it's not really necessarily a person per se, or like a key figure, but I tried to make it, the water in my image, similar to like the color of petrol or gas, to do with the oil leaks that are really prevalent in West Africa. And then we have the last one on the left, right? Your left, my right? I don't know. Is Venus. So Mummy Water, that's a popular sort of figure all around the world. Classic Venus, you know what I mean, like the birth of Venus, sort of the birth of the world, or like the feminine with a water type of energy. And Mummy Water is pretty much the same in Ghana. She's like a water figure. She sort of helped make the world, or like the land, in synergy with other gods. And she's right there in front of a stack of TVs and like keyboards and stuff like that. Let me rambling. I better stop soon so I can actually do some questions. So think about a question because you'll get a chance. Am I not boring anybody?
No way.
Commercial meets cultural. So I do a lot of commercial work. I don't know. I wouldn't really, I don't know why I get this question a lot, but some people find it strange that I can move through art worlds and commercial worlds, which I'm not sure why. I love doing commercial work. It's some of the funnest stuff ever. And it can also be like some of the most draining stuff ever. I mean, revision number 12 at like 1 a.m. is sometimes not what you want. But yeah, I work with like Nike, the Sydney Opera House I did a really fun job for. I've worked with Soto Sosa, Akila, who's a really sick artist, I think from LA, High Classified and Crumpler, Valentino, I've worked with a bunch of people, but I think kind of what I'm trying to say is I've always sort of put my own spin on it, or my own sort of cultural voice. And I think that's why I'm able to work with so many different brands, and sort of different, musicians. I love to collaborate, I guess what I'm trying to say too. I don't just want to make work for myself. I want to, work with other people to sort of express our cultures in a similar way, or, express a certain idea or whatnot. Like, you can't sort of always make art by yourself, especially coming from a culture like mine. Like, it's very communal, you know what I mean? Like, I remember seeing about 5 different men working on the same wooden sculpture when I was in Ghana. It was pretty incredible. at that time I was like, I could never let somebody touch my work, bro. Like for me, it's like when you too many cooks in the kitchen or whatever, like does anybody else like want everybody to get out of the damn kitchen when they're cooking? Back then they don't do that. They're like literally pounding the same football together, like two different sticks. It's pretty incredible. So learning to work with others is definitely something that I think has been key to getting along with my art. A couple of case studies. So this was a project that was for Gucci and in collaboration with the Powerhouse Museum of Sydney. The brief was quite broad, which I love. I love a broad brief, like just don't give me any guardrails. But it was to celebrate, I don't know how many years of Gucci, and they brought all the archives of like all the different bags. They made sets of like different trains, like sets that would tell a story about the perfume, like with different flowers and stuff like that. So it was really fun, and me and I think 5 or 6 other artists were tasked to make some artworks for them for the, the launch of that museum sort of collection. And I came up with this. I don't know, it's just like pretty fun to like make stuff for Gucci. And then one of the things that I really like looking back at their artworks, like the sort of disco theme with the afros and stuff like that, I thought it was pretty funny. So I put it on a black girl, as it kind of should be. This is Sotheby's with Paris Hilton, which was really random. I think a couple people in this room may have been on this sort of same like project, I guess. But this has got to be the most random thing I've ever done. Paris Hilton like messaged me on Instagram and she was like, okay, you want to make an artwork? And then the next thing I did was I was like, on Google, I was like, okay, so when actually did Paris Hilton get hacked? Why would they find me on Instagram? But it turns out she wasn't hacked and she did want an artwork. She was like, I just want something that really would empower women. That's like the only cue that you got. And again, like as I said, I love an open brief, but sometimes it's hard to be like, okay, that's really open. How do I impress Paris Hilton? It's such a damn open brief. Like I kind of need to win this. I know she likes pink, so I'll definitely put some of that in there. But like apart from that, I don't know what to do. And then I was like, you know what? God damn it! Like I know I've got a voice. You've all got a voice, and you know exactly what you want to say. And you've all been saying it in your artwork, or your designs, or your, honestly, whatever you're doing in your math, in your like spreadsheets, whatever you've been doing, like you know, or even if it's just in the back of your mind, like you know what you want to say. You just have to sometimes you just have to channel it through somebody else's brief. So like, of course I want to empower women. How am I going to do that? Within my own voice is kind of how I would say that. Or like going back to some of those Nike ones. I do love wearing Nikes, and they want to sort of show off a sneaker that feels really airy. How would I say that? Like how would I wear that? How would I rock that? How would I put that into an artwork? I don't know, I'm just like not super worried about what other people will think in that way. Like they obviously have come to you, or people want to hear from you, you know what I mean? They want to hear it, but with your voice, not with their voice. You know what I mean? You can always rephrase a question or rephrase a quote through your voice. And we all want to hear from you. And yeah, that's why people come to me, and that's why people come to you. But yeah, Paris Hilton, it's so strange. But that was a really fun project. I really liked that. That one was called Aether, Galaxy Goddess, which was sort of about a Roman goddess of the same name. yeah, so kind of closing out, I guess, yeah, your role in building tomorrow. What do you want to build? Like, what are you trying to say? Like, where do you come from? I think it's kind of sometimes a good thing to think about your life in like 3 stages so far. So for me, it was like escapism, activism, and then like world building. That's kind of like my 3 things. What is that for you? What does that look like? What are those words? Is it more words? Is it like a bunch of jumbled pieces of paper, like how I've done in my many books? What does that look like? I really want everybody to sort of think about that and take that away. This is some of the work. This is some of the building of the Acme piece. Yeah, this is the Acme piece. This was really hard to build. I won't lie. I worked with my father, which was super fun, and his crazy roommates, and my super amazing assistant Martin. I think my brother helped me out too, so thank you to all of them, and my dog Pluto, my Rottweiler. Yeah, but we spent like the Australian summer, this past summer, just gluing stuff down, just gassing ourselves out with wood nails to make this happen. And yeah, thank you to Acme for commissioning this fabulous piece. I'm really glad that I got to disable that e-waste from landfill. But yeah, what are you trying to build? What world do you escape to? Who do you want to be? What's that character that you would create if you didn't have to pay to upgrade to the hairstyle that you want, or the clothes you want, or the skin color you want? What does that look like? Can you make that and keep that and like treasure that, like frame it in your mind? That's kind of like that. I think that sort of like childlike wonder of world building or character creating is a really helpful thing to like sort of get back into what your voice is as a creative. And yeah, what futures are you willing to imagine into existence? What like, you know, theoretical victory do you want to see? For me, I want to see no e-waste in Ghana. I don't want to see people suffering. I don't want to see the world, you know, burning. I don't want to see scorched earth. I'm going to make artwork that counteracts that, you know what I mean? And in doing that digitally and physically, I'm able to sort of make a change with that by actually saving some e-waste from landfill. Yeah, I just thank you for coming out to my talk. I don't really know how to end this off in a super positive way. I just like really wanted to sort of make a cool world. Like, yeah, frame that sort of character in your mind and take that and run with it. And yeah, build something with your voice. I think we're going to do some questions now for a little bit. So if you want to rock up to the mics, I think. Oh, what's up? Oh yeah, we're changing the pack. We're going into cyborg mode. Changing my pack. You know what I mean? Don't send anybody change packs. Brand new. Okay, boom. So we're going to do some questions. Or even if you want to just tell me that world that you want to build or that character, like your voice, I'm happy to hear it.
Hi, thanks so much for the presentation and sharing so much about your culture today through your art. I just really like your vibe.
You gotta keep the vibe.
And you kind of already answered my question, but I wanted to say it to you and just tell you how much I appreciate you. My question was going to be